Out of Africa Inconvenience. Humans are supposed by consensus to come out of Africa. By defending the Beringia Land Bridge Standstill, consensus additionally insists that humans and even Americans are not at all supposed to come out of the Americas. This consensus out of Africa works with, or rather has to work with 3 or more out of Africa migrations. If it does not handle all of these migrations, Africa will lose its status as the origin of all humans, so there is not much choice. All migrations, and only slightly less the last and important out of Africa migration, which initially was supposed not to be earlier than 50,000 years ago, are very inconvenient for the consensus out of Africa narrative, and except for the latest one, which is claimed to have been roughly 50,000 years ago, seldom mentioned. Out of Africa has an earliest date imposed of 55,000 BP, because fossils of modern humans were detected that presented the supposed fraction of Neanderthal DNA as far back as in the period 41 to 55,000 years ago. This earliest date is imposed because for out of Africa not to completely fall apart, only one group or migration out of Africa had to meet and successfully interbreed in isolation from all other humans, and in the same tempo with one group of Neanderthals. This would only explain the Neanderthal fraction, and not any of many other fractions like for instance the Denisovan fraction, and certainly not the similar but much earlier fractions, like those that geneticists detected 600,000 and 2 million years earlier, which brings us as far back as Neanderthal, Denisovan and even Homo erectus that are still not explained, amongst others the fact of them being sister groups of us modern humans. For us of origin for existence, all this already is totally improbable. This even so without considering the other and much older fractions in our modern human DNA. And the peopling of the Americas that is imposed to be after the Beringia Land Bridge Standstill is even much more improbable and too fast. But that is for later. For now we know that the whole consensus out of Africa is trapped in time and in space, and this more than once or rather in multiple layers. All this would be easily explained if real modern humans existed over 2 million years ago, and that is exactly what we of origin for existence claim all along, and what all ancestral markers prove all the time. With renowned researchers like geneticist David Rye pulling the cart to rewrite human history, the curtain could fall anytime for the now improbable human history and narratives. Ancestral markers and out of America expansions. The ancestral markers above all prove that all humans come out of the Americas. And the Austronesian expansions together with the Atlantic expansions, both departing from the Americas, explain all the peoplings of the world, including Homo erectus 2 million years ago etc., as well as all artifacts, including even the Younger Dryas as well as the former Ice Ages and the Quaternary. The Quaternary. The Quaternary spans the last 2.6 million years of Earth's history. It's the most recent geological period, characterized by major climate fluctuations and the evolution of early humans. But we will come back to this later. Homo erectus 2 million years ago. It is the first out of Africa migration. Homo erectus is the first hominin to walk upright. At least for now Homo erectus is not classified as human. Maybe it will be classified as human after the first DNA can be sequenced. Consensus tells us Homo erectus kind of walked out of Africa. Apparently Homo erectus did not leave a DNA fraction in Africa, and also did not come back. All this is kind of inconvenient to say the least, but you will not hear someone mentioning this inconvenience. This Homo erectus migration was 2 million years ago, and is also inconvenient because it appears dominantly in Java, Indonesia, by means of hundreds of fossils, but also in China. Java and China are places associated with the Austronesian expansion, and as we will see later with the Americas. This by means of clear genetic links and all of the ancestral markers that point to out of Americas and most and first of all from the Americas to the Austronesian expansion. Homo erectus and all following early fossils of upright walking humans will be most associated with the Austronesian expansion and the Americas. Homo erectus, Superarchaics, Denisovan, Neanderthal, Homo sapiens, Australia 50,000 to 65,000 BP and Laos Southeast Asia 86,000 BP, etc. All this does not make a lot of sense, especially the Homo sapiens appearing too soon or at least so early on the Austronesian expansion and even in Australia, which always was an isolated island or continent. All of the upright walking hominins or humans that had their DNA sequenced, Denisovan, Neanderthal and modern humans, are recognized as sister groups of which modern humans make part of. Homo erectus and super-archaics could not yet be classified, because consensus claims no DNA was ever sequenced. Denisovan inconvenience. Denisovans walk upright, and their existence over 500,000 years ago is inconvenient for consensus, because DNA fractions appears dominantly in Indonesia, and this on the east side of the Wallace Line, which is supposed to be out of reach for out of Africa, similar to Australia and the Americas, because of deep ocean with strong currents. Consensus tells us Denisovan, just like Homo erectus, kind of walked out of Africa, and did not leave a DNA fraction, and also did not come back. Further, Denisovan fossils were never found in Africa, and not even a fraction of DNA is found in Africans, not even in North African modern humans. Whole genome Denisovan DNA is present, and this with the highest frequencies in the Americas, and this is proven by whole genome haplotype B006 frequencies. Neanderthal inconvenience. Neanderthals, just like Neanderthals and Homo erectus, also walk upright, and Neanderthals existed over 500,000 years ago. Neanderthals are similarly inconvenient, because they dominantly appear in Europe, this while none of the lesser Neanderthal ranges touches Africa directly, even while there are no barriers. Whole genome Neanderthal DNA, just like Denisovan DNA, is present, and this with the highest frequencies in the Americas, and this is proven by whole genome haplotype B006 frequencies. Jebel Irhoud, we do not consider characteristic for sub-Saharan Africa and not even for Africa, and we certainly do not consider the fossils modern humans, this for a number of reasons. It is an important but isolated find. Its fossils present archaic characteristics, and things get more inconvenient because found in a mine, and this makes it look more like an expedition from elsewhere for resources.